Hmm.
Welcome to podcast episode with Leah, who is a dyslexic author. And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, running a business as a dyslexic author. And I think it's going to be a really interesting topic to dive into. And I'm so proud to have Leah as the headline sponsor for my upcoming book as well, launching in November 2024. So before we talk about this, Leah, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Leah Palmer, and I am, as Dani said, I'm a dyslexic author. I've written my own children's book, The Princess Who Wanted to Play Hide and Seek. But I've also worked on a few collaborations as well. I worked with yourself on Seasoned with Empowerment. I've got another one coming out this year. We haven't figured out a title for that one yet. Um, but I also work on an online magazine called The Up and Coming, where I write articles each month. Um, and I write my own blog for my page as well. So yes, I do a lot of things on my page as well. So
All the
yeah,
writing things.
all the writing things, yeah, definitely.
Well, what I've actually done is I've linked in this episode the not just the books that you're part of, but I've linked your actual Amazon author profile so that when that book that's not titled yet does come out, then our listeners can see it. And no matter when they listen to this podcast, they can go see it because it'll be in there with yours, won't it? And
Mm.
then any up and coming books you do in future as well. I just thought it's the best way. So the Princess
Yeah,
Who Plays Hide and Seek is on there. Seasons with Empowerment is on there, so people can go and have a look. And Seasoned with Empowerment is on my author profile as well because we were part of the same book.
we were.
So I love this topic because it's different and it creates awareness. And I guess that's what I've recognized from you is like your kind of mission to share that as a message that doesn't matter if you're dyslexic, you can still become an author. And I absolutely love that. So the thing I wanted to actually talk about first, because when I invite anyone to come and do a podcast with me, I usually ask them to do a bio, like a little description of who they are, so that I can add it into the show notes. And what was interesting about you, Leah, was that you said about starting a business at age 44 as a dyslexic author. So I actually wanted to talk a little bit about that, actually. So how do you feel about that? Like, how's that come about, starting a business at this age? Because I'm the opposite. I started at 21 really young, which a lot of people go, oh, that's really young to start a business. I guess most people do it in the 30s. I don't think there's an average age, but I'd love to talk about that and how that came about for you.
Um, yeah, it wasn't something I was actually looking at doing. I was like, I'm a writer, I'm gonna write, that's what I'm gonna focus on. And then someone I was doing my writing with went, yeah, of course, you've gotta advertise these books, you've got to get them out there. And it dawned on me like, oh gosh, yes, I've actually got to become a business person as well
Yeah.
because they're not gonna sell themselves. And that kind of like scared the hell out of me, to be fair, because I had no business. I mean, what I did, I'd learned business when I was back in school, but it had changed so much to like where I am now. I was like, oh gosh, this
It's
is,
very different,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's so, so different compared to what I learned. I mean, I was like top
Yeah.
of my class for business when I was in school and in sixth form. And I look at it now and I'm like, I ain't got a clue.
So,
And
so I'm
it
the
was
opposite.
like, I didn't have a clue. I was like, I've gone from top in business to like, oh shoot.
Yeah. It
I
is
don't know.
it is different though. I agree with that because I did it at AS level. So I did the first year of A levels. I didn't actually go back, but I found it so hard and I actually failed. But what we learned then was well, and I guess it still has an impact. Like it was all I remember is a class on supply and demand and thinking, oh my God, this is so boring. Um, it didn't help that the teacher actually talked a lot about football because it was a male teacher full of loads of boys, and there was three girls, and one of those girls didn't show up half of the time, so it was just me and another girl, and it was so boring. And actually, like you say, it's changed so much. Then we didn't have, oh, we did have Facebook, but it was still very fresh and new. We didn't have social media in multiple platforms like we do now. It was so our podcasts weren't really a thing, and yeah, it's so different. So I do agree on that. So you kind of, like most of us, fell into business then because
Yeah.
obviously you were a writer, you wanted to get your books out there. And I'm guessing that's what led you to me, which is nice because,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
it did.
become a
It
learner business stuff.
definitely. Yeah, it definitely led me straight to you because you know, I'd heard that like, you know, you were the queen of business organization. And I was like, right, this I've got to go and see this woman to like help me, you know, help me understand. And so yeah, it definitely like led me straight to your doorstep. And it was actually I did your freebie
Yeah.
first and just advertised you everywhere. Um and I was like, yes, this is the way to go. And I think I'd done it twice before I actually jumped on
Was that the
to
Simplicity series?
that's it,
Yeah.
yes. Before I actually jumped on and I was like, I was hearing you describe your foundations, and I was like, that is what I need. Back to basics, not
Yeah.
like from the beginning, because that's where I'm at. And that is what I needed. And yeah, it was definitely that and helping me because I mean, you were saying like when you were in school, you know, Facebook was just coming out and everything. Well, when I was in school doing my business, we
Didn't
didn't even have
exist.
Facebook.
Yeah. I don't,
That's how
well,
far
when
back
I
is
was in
that?
when I started, like when I was in school, we didn't even have computers, never mind social media.
Oh, we had the computers. I mean, we were taught the basic computers for like reception
Yeah.
school and everything, but we didn't have social media. So it was all like, you know, we were taught like meetings and
Yeah.
shorthand and everything like that. And you know, so um, yeah, I mean, we didn't have the social media concept, and so like yeah, so and that's how much it had changed. So when you were saying about your foundations, I was like, that is what I need to be
Yeah.
taught every single step and every single thing along the way. I mean, I was saying to you the other day, I can't even grasp Canva, you know. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's shown to me step by step, but because of the dyslexia, I kind of pick it up better if I'm shown in front of me and it's explained in front of me. Whereas if I watch it visually on a computer screen, I have to watch it like 4, 5, 6 times
Yeah.
before I start picking up, you know, little bits. So so yeah, so that's what I mean, like yeah, in businesses, it's really hard, especially with dyslexia. It's so hard for me. I mean, like my posts, I mean, my posts look great, you know, I'm like put pictures up and I put lovely little descriptions, but those posts take me 20 to 25 minutes to do.
I've got a
Um,
friend who's the same. She really struggles with the sort and she retreats because she finds it so overwhelming. And it's not actually creating them, it's just the words and putting it together because she
yeah,
judges herself before she even does it. And she'll have like a 5 minute conversation with me and then she's off and she's doing it. And you know what? She's really, really good at it. Like the messages she puts out, the content she the stories she shares are
mm,
really good. And it just shows that dyslexia doesn't have to, or any challenges like that don't have to hold you back, do they? Do you feel like with building a business with dyslexia, with it being different then versus now, in terms of like computers, the way technology's moved forward, and social media, do you think it's easier back then, or do you think it's easier back now as someone with dyslexia to start a business?
mm. Um, well, that's a hard question. I think, see, back then, for me personally, because everything was taught to you so hands-on,
Yeah.
and so practically, for
Mm.
me, it was easier because that's
Yeah.
how I learn. I learn practically. Um, so, um, yeah, for me back then, it was a lot easier. I
Yeah.
mean, I originally started off doing a like a lower down business course, but I was the only one in the class. And so they went, right, we're going to put you in with the advanced. And I was like, oh gosh,
Oh
okay.
wow.
But I was, and they were like, but we're to the lower, you know, the beginners business, but we'll put you in with the advanced, like sort of thing. I was like, okay. But I was so quick at picking up that I ended up being transferred from the lower to the advanced class and becoming top of the class because it was so practical. And
Yeah,
I picked
you've
it up
kind
so
of done
quickly.
that on this journey anyway. You apply really, really, you remind me of myself when I'm learning and like you apply really, really well, don't you? You just
Yeah,
do it. And I love
yeah,
that. It's definitely a good quality to have, I will say, because then you find opportunities that will help you grow your business, which you have done actually, haven't you? So let's
yeah.
talk about a bit about your journey actually this year. you've done the collaboration book last year, you've launched The Princess Who Comes to Play Hide and Seek. And then
Yeah.
what kind of happened after that? Obviously, I know, but you've had a few opportunities, haven't you, along the way?
Yeah, it went really quick. So the princess who wanted to play hide and seek came out on February 29th, the last day in February. And then it just kind of, yeah, went mental. I got offers from a reading book to go in and talk about the book, a reading book group, sorry, to go in and talk about the book online, virtually, which was amazing. And after that, I then got to do a in-person book reading for a home education group, which I was like, whoa, that's amazing. I'll go and do that. After that, I then got to put my book into a local cafe that supports community artists and creative people. And they booked me for 4 book readings. 2 I've already done, 2 I've got coming up. And that sold books, which was great. I then reached out to schools and nurseries and got a nursery book reading. Off that, I've got another offer in like virtual talking session, kind of like this, with the book
Yeah,
reading group again on the 26th of this month. Um,
amazing.
yeah, it's just loads coming
Just
up, and
kept
it's
going.
all just from the princess who wanted to play hide and seek being um published at the beginning of this year. It's just gone mental.
And
Yeah,
I hope you don't mind me saying as well and sharing for the listeners, like it wasn't just free events, some of them you got paid for, didn't you, as well? I remember having that conversation. I was like, oh, yay. Because I
yeah,
know
I did.
sometimes it can be quite challenging to actually land a paid event, and you did. And I was buzzing for you with that as a result.
Yeah, I got paid. Yeah,
And
it
it
was
shows
really good.
another kind of income stream and avenue as being an author. You can actually get paid for events as well. And
Yeah,
then you're going to be at my book launch event as well. So
yes,
definitely bring some books along. You just never know who's going to be a
thank
parent that
you.
might want one of your books. Definitely bring those.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that. It's been amazing watching your journey. Do you
Mhm.
believe that when you become an author, I think in general we have to go through a lot of mindset work, but when you're dyslexic and the thing you're doing is writing, which is something that dyslexia and reading that people with dyslexia obviously struggle with. My husband's dyslexic, so I completely get it. I think my son's dyslexic as well. And I've seen that firsthand how much frustrating it can be. Do you think there's a kind of mindset challenge you have to come past or kind of go through when it comes to doing this and being an author because of the
Oh,
dyslexia?
yes, definitely, because I seriously convinced myself for years and years and years that I could never be an author. That I didn't have the ability, even though like in school my main strength was writing stories.
Yeah,
And they were like, oh, you've got brilliant ability here, your storytelling is amazing. And I always got told, but my only problem was the spelling and grammar and punctuation. And so for me, that was like, oh, I can't do it. But then, and yet they told me my everything else was perfect. There was just those little things which could be fixed. But in my head, I went, I can't do it then. And so for
yeah,
years, I was always like, you can't do this, you're never that good, you'll never be able to do it. Um, and it just took a couple of people like later in my life to tell me, like, go for this. Why don't you go for it? You've got brilliant ability there. And stuff like that. And it was just building up my confidence and telling myself and getting my mindset in the right place of like, you can do this, you can do anything. Sorry,
yeah.
you
It's okay.
can do anything, it's just um eh, you're stopping you, no one else. It's
It's
just
true.
you stopping you. So yeah, it was just getting my mindset around that, really. Ignore the haters and get on it yourself.
What did you kind of do to overcome that? I know you've surrounded yourself with some really people that inspire and motivate you, like Leah, you work with someone called Claire, don't you, who helps you with writing and you do like writing sessions and things together. You started to do your own now, which we can
Yeah.
talk about in a moment.
Yep.
And obviously you work with me and there's people around you that are kind of contributing to keeping you going, which is great. I think we all need that, no matter what business, no matter what challenges we go through. But is there anything else that you've found that's helped to kind of get you on that path of becoming an author, and running a business, I guess, regardless of the fact that this is something that's challenging?
I kind of I don't always make them live, but I do go and watch the replays of like Emmy King's meditations. So if I sit
Ah,
there and meditate myself and I kind of like calm my head down and I'm like, you can do this. And it's just positive reassurance. I kind of journal and I like say in my journals in like big capital letters, you can do this. It's only
yeah,
you that stops yourself. And by just repeating that self to myself, it keeps that positive energy in my head and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just positive reassurance to yourself every day. Because the more you say it, the more you're going to believe it. It then
that's
gets
true.
ingrained in your brainwaves. So, you know,
It affirms, doesn't it? It's like
yeah,
an affirmation. It's
yeah,
amazing how many of my guests actually meditate, and then I don't, not regularly anyway. I do if it's like an event and there's loads of us there and the host is holding a meditation.
mm,
I've done them and I really enjoy them. I think I really enjoy the group. I think the energy thing works for me, but on my own, I don't do great. I have done them on my own, but that's where I've been like online and it's still a group like a Zoom room or something.
mm,
I've done them. I have done an occasional one on my own, but I think I do prefer the group meditation. It must be to do with the energy.
yeah,
Um, but I love that. And I love that. That's really cool that that works for you. And let's talk about these writing groups then. I said we'll come back to that. So you now, this is new, isn't it? Do you want to
yeah.
tell us all about that and share what you're now doing?
Yeah, so I found because I've got a lot going on personally at the moment. I found that the only time I was writing was if when I was doing a Write With Me via Claire's writing membership that I'm part of. And I was like, I wanted to write a bit more because they weren't always, it was generally like one or two a week. But I wanted to kind of like write a bit more. And so I was like, maybe I could do it. So I set up a writing, well, I'm setting up a writing hour that starts this week. Um, and I was like, maybe I could do it, but like people I could write everybody, but it doesn't have to necessarily be that they write. They could just focus on their whatever they have to do, whether it's scheduling for the week or they're planning an event they've got coming up or whatever, just as on, as they're working. And we spend that hour together in a Zoom meeting. We just go turn our mics off and we kind of like work for like 50 minutes or 45 minutes and then we come back for the last 5 minutes and like just share like how you got on, if you were writing what you wrote, and you could share that little bit just for a bit of confidence and like get some feedback on it, or you can just tell us what you did and if you managed to get done what you wanted to get done, like sort of thing. And it's just like keep you a bit accountable for what you're doing. So like when I'm a writer, it keeps me accountable for what I need to write and stuff like that. And if you're working on your book, if you came in, it would keep you accountable for your writing. But if you've got a long list of project stuff that you need to get done, it makes you accountable in that hour to
Yes.
focus on that list and just get something ticked off that list for an hour. So yeah, so that's why I started up, and it's a free event. It just keeps us all accountable, doesn't it?
I love that as well, and it really helps. So I've done a few times like co-working sessions in person, online, like on Zoom. I've started sort of running some, and I've found them really, really powerful to just set that intention of what you're going to do. And for me, like if I was on my own, I'd procrastinate and I'd end up answering emails and doing
Yeah,
client stuff. When if it's on a Zoom session, I keep my camera on and I don't procrastinate as much because I feel
yeah,
like even though they're not directly watching me really, but I feel like I'll get caught out. Like I can't do that. So it does hold me accountable. Plus, then at the end of the session, if I say, well, actually, I didn't do it because I played on my phone for the hour, then I wouldn't feel good. So I know by
yeah,
getting it done and then sharing at the end of it, well, actually, I did this, this, and this. And it just it makes me work productively. And I guess I'm that person that works really good with a deadline. So if that's you, then definitely these sessions like you're holding, are really good for things like that. I'd love to know what your message would be as well to aspiring authors, or writers in general who may face the same challenges that you have with dyslexia. What would be your message to them?
I know it's hard. And I know it can be frustrating, but please don't give up. Just continue and it will get, a little bit easier to start off with, but you will get there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess they can try some of the things that you have done, going
Yeah.
to writing groups, surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and will raise you up. And yeah, and even down to like the meditation and affirming that you can do it, like you said, it'd
Mm.
be really good, wouldn't it? Definitely. If someone wants to check out your books or they want to follow you as on your journey of being an author and whatever's coming up next, like with other books and things, where can they go and find you?
Main place to find me is Leah Palmer Author, and that's on Facebook. You'll get all the information on there. That's my main place, so I will check me out there.
Yeah, definitely. I'll
If
pop
you
the
then you've put
sorry,
the
go on.
Amazon thing in, so they can get me there. Or and my books are also on. Like if you want the Princess one directly, it's Princess. It can be found on Amazon. Princess Who Want to Play Hide and Seek.
Yeah, it's just like when I say it's a really good book. I bought it for my daughter. I've not seen it since we read it because I don't know what she's done with it, but it's in her bedroom. She tidied her bedroom finally the other day. But when she got it, she absolutely loved it. She's really grateful as our Eliza. She like gets so much gratitude, and I just love it because I feel it as well, like how she genuinely loves that you've got it. It could be the smallest thing. Oh, you got that for me. Oh, thank you, mummy. And I just love it. And so she reacted like that. Oh, this book's for me. And as soon as she says, you say princess, that's it. She's sold. Um, so we sat and read it together, but then she wanted to read it again. And then it was like tea time and then bedtime. She wanted to read it again. And she literally slept with it in her bed
Oh, that's
for
so lovely.
ages. And I wasn't getting it back because I actually wanted to get a few pictures of the book and with her with the book, but it was in her bed. She keeps it with her. She loves something, that's it. She's sold on it. So she really loved it. And it was the only one that was out of the bookshelf for quite a while. She really did enjoy it. So, and she's 5. And I think she'll still continue to love it for probably another year or so as well. So it's definitely worth getting. And there's a good message behind it, isn't there as well?
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was really cute. It's such a cute book. Love the little message. Because Eliza's quite emotive as well. So she reacts like, and she's like,
Oh,
oh, and stuff like that. So that was fun for her to see and talk about the story as well, which they get so much out of, don't they, the kids?
yeah.
Like learning from the story as well. So definitely go check if you've got a child who'll be interested in a princess who ends up being able to play hide and seek, go and have a look at that definitely because it's a good book. Um, Thank you so much, Leah, for joining us today. My final question that I ask all my guests is, what would be your top tip for being organised within your business?
Oh, being organized within my business. Well, now you've got me. um, I think it would literally be to get you involved to keep me organized in my business.
I
That's
love
it.
that.
Get you involved
Just get me.
and eh?
Just get me.
Get you involved and get a remarkable because they
Oh,
are
yeah.
absolutely brilliant. I'm using less paper, which means I'm being great for the environment. But it keeps everything all in one place. So yeah, to get you involved and get a remarkable would be
Yeah.
my top tips for being
If any,
organized in your business.
if anyone doesn't know what a remarkable is, it's a
I can show
digital
you.
notebook. Well, you can't see on the podcast, but if you watch on YouTube, yeah, we've both got one.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
It's a digital notebook, and basically, it's like an adult mega sketcher, in my opinion, because
Yeah,
it's magnetized and you can just write on it. And it's like I got one about 2 years ago now, I think. Such a good investment, and then
I
since
got
then,
one a year ago, thanks to
has it
Dani.
been a year? Yeah, and that like loads of people saw me using it and they're like, what's that? What's that? And then I started recommending it and people a lot of my clients started buying them. And then people who got access to work funding started getting them for free as well, which is good. And they are the best thing about them is there's no distraction when you're writing, is there?
Yeah,
Which I love that. So I use it for like planning, journaling, note taking for like trainings when I'm with my mentors and coaches and at events. I take it everywhere. It's like
Yeah.
it's always glued to me. I just need to remember to charge it.
Yeah.
But it does help keep you organized because you can create folders and different notebooks and keep things in place, like you say. So, like, I remember there was before the remarkable and there's after the remarkable. Before, I had piles of notebooks on my desk. It was cluttered and messy, paper everywhere. And actually, I've got a few notebooks down here blank because I don't use them anymore, organized and tidy. But my desk is really clear, so it saved me so much space. And I do believe when it's chaos around you, that affects your mindset and affects your productivity in your business as well. So
Yeah.
it's worth just being organized in that sense with your notebook. But
Yeah.
that's a really good tip. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a really interesting talk, one that's very different. So I'm glad that people are going to get to hear it, have a look at your book, or should I say books, because by the time this podcast goes out, there probably will be 3 on your author profile, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So definitely go check that out. Check out the Amazon profile link and connect with Leah as well. She's definitely open to opportunities and collaboration and things like that. And watch out for her on my social media and at my own book launch event as well. I'm so excited to have
Oh,
you
no.
part of that. And thank you for being here today and sharing this story in the podcast, but also becoming a headline sponsor as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Dani.